Hey everybody, welcome to this Caregiver Coffee. My name is Matthew Estrad. I am a gerontologist in St. Tammany Parish, Louisiana, and I've been partnering with the Council on Aging in St. Tammany for over 10 years as their caregiver support group facilitator and also having other contract roles with them. This including the Caregiver Coffee that you were watching right now. Today we're going to be talking about blood pressure, so managing blood pressure with small habits. And this is such an important conversation and thing to educational piece to consider because high blood pressure can have such damaging effects to us. So, and there's really ways for us to manage it better. So glad that you're here, and I hope that you'll stick around to the end. Before we get started on that topic, just my usual commercial about the caregiver support group that I facilitate. So basically, it is every Tuesday of the year, unless we don't meet on Fat Tuesday, we move it to later in the week. And then, of course, Christmas or Christmas Eve, if that falls on a Tuesday, we end up postponing or moving that. But basically, every Tuesday of the year, we meet from 6 p.m. to 7:30 p.m. And sometimes we're in person, sometimes we are virtual using Zoom, but we're never a hybrid. We're never doing in person and online at the same time. So the way that it basically looks like, and you can get a calendar. I'll tell you how to get a calendar that has all this information. But basically, the first Tuesday of the month, we are in person in Slidell at the Senior Activity Center. The second Tuesday of the month, we are virtual on Zoom. So you can join us on a computer with a camera like I'm doing right now. You can join us using your smartphone, the Zoom app on your smartphone. You can use the Zoom app on your tablet. And then finally, you can even just use a phone to call in as if it's a phone conference call. So that's how you join us virtually, all those different options. The third Tuesday of the month, we are in person at the Covington Senior Activity Center off of Highway 190. And in the fourth Tuesday of the month, we are back on the virtual platform Zoom. Um, some months, of course, do have a fifth Tuesday, and sometimes we meet on those fifth Tuesdays and we'll announce that, and sometimes we don't. We just kind of take the night off. So we always, we check with the Council on Aging and St. Tammany administration to see if they want us to meet at that time on that fifth Tuesday. So that's why getting the calendar is important. You can find the calendar by going to the coastseniors.org, go to caregiver resources or services, caregiver services, and then you'll click until you see my picture, and under that there's a PDF, and that has the most current 2 months. And after that's over, we publish another one, just because, if there's a holiday, that's when it becomes important. Plus, we have information about Zoom on there. So it's good to get the flyer. You can also join our private email list for free. That information on how to join is actually on the flyer also. So get to the flyer. I recommend joining the email list because I send out reminders. And when a new calendar is ready, I email that to everybody as well. So you're always up to date, where we're going to be on which date, and if there's a holiday, and when we're moving that particular support group later in the week. So typically, on a Thursday. There's times when I might be out of town traveling for work. That's another reason why you want to get the calendar in case that happens. We'll note that on there. So please do get that flyer. If you have any questions, you can always reach out to the Council on Aging in St. Tammany, and they'll connect you with me. Also, my phone number is on the flyer. So if you get the flyer and you have some questions about what the support group is, you want to ask, like, what is it like? Please feel free to reach out to me. Um, Support groups can be extremely helpful and powerful. Number one, the fellowship, just being there in a room with other caregivers who are not in your exact situation, but they're very similar. And we have caregivers of varying experience levels. Some have been doing it for 10 years. Some of them are new. Some of them have been doing it for 20 plus years because they've taken care of multiple family members over those decades. And they have such great wisdom. And I know even if it's your first time, you're going to come with your perspective and some wisdom that we can all grow from. So the fellowship, the education, the being able to talk to other support, other caregivers is just extremely helpful. And I've been blessed to be facilitating it for over 10 years. And I've just, most of the things I know about gerontology and aging and dementia, I know from the group and not just the books. So it's a great experience, and I hope you'll drop by, and drop by is really what you'll do. You don't have to reserve a spot or anything like that. You don't have to contact me if you can't make it, although some people do. But just feel free to drop in when you want to try it out, and we look forward to seeing you. All right, so on with this important topic of managing high blood pressure with small daily habits, and I'll be going over some notes that I have. So that's, I'll be looking at this piece of paper just to make sure I stay on track. So before we get started, sorry, one more thing. So I'm not a physician, and even if I was, I would have to give you a disclaimer that you need to, while this advice is sound, you want to talk with your doctor. You never want to stop medication or start something or double it or anything like that. And they will partner, of course, your doctor is going to partner you with you in managing your high blood pressure. So just know that I'm not a doctor, and even if I was, I'm not your doctor. So use this as education and take it to him or her to consider. The things that it would make sense to get checked, talk with them about. All right, so these are small daily habits that we'll be talking about. We'll also be talking about what blood pressure is, why it matters, and practical steps of what you can steps that you can start today or tonight. So, what is blood pressure? Blood pressure is the force of blood pushing against the artery walls. There are two numbers that you want to be concerned with. The systolic blood pressure, and that's the top number when you hear the ratio. So systolic is the top number. It's the pressure when the heart beats. And the diastolic is the bottom number, and it's the pressure when the heart rests. High blood pressure means that the arteries are under constant stress, which can damage the heart, the brain, the kidneys, and blood vessels over time. It often has no symptoms, which is why it's called the silent condition. So let's look at daily habits. Most daily habits either raise or lower your blood pressure. Change doesn't need to be overwhelming. However, consistent small actions work better than big temporary changes. So we're talking about small things, staying the course, and just giving it time to make an impact. Slow and steady wins the race, right? Good habits are especially important for older adults and caregivers who may have routines that influence their health. So the first habit, and we're going to be talking about 5 habits. The first habit is improve hydration, and we actually just I recently did a video that's on YouTube on hydration. Even mild dehydration can raise blood pressure because the body retains sodium and tightens blood vessels. Aim for 6 to 8 cups of water per day, adjusting for medical advice from your medical practitioner. So a cup is 8 ounces. So if you're on the high end of this, 8 cups at 8 ounces is 64 ounces. That is half a gallon of water. So, and that's probably like just a start. You need to also account for physical activity that might be expending your hydration. So some practical tips are to drink a glass of water with each meal. It doesn't say before, during, or after. So, just you do what you feel comfortable doing. Keep a water bottle in your favorite chair or beside your bed. I hope that you're kind of mentally saying, check, I do that, or check, I do this one. Next is using flavor enhancers like citrus or herbs. And if for someone who's experiencing living with dementia, offer frequent sips, use familiar cups, provide prompts, and use a hydration schedule. And we talked about all these tips in the 15-minute video dedicated to hydration. Habit two, reduce sodium in small, painless ways. Sodium makes the body hold water, and this increases pressure on arteries. We're not talking about extreme dieting, just smart swaps. Rinse canned vegetables and choose the no salt added. Look for that phrase on the label. Buy low sodium broth. Taste your food before adding salt. Some of us have the habit of just grabbing the salt and pepper and just putting it on, but try it first. And I think the person who prepared the meal for you might appreciate that you want to taste what they made first before seeing if it needs any change. Flavor food with herbs, lemon, garlic, and pepper. For caregivers, prepare low sodium meals so that the person that you're taking care of doesn't rely on processed foods. Watch for hidden sodium in cold cuts, canned soups, and frozen meals. Habit three of five, gentle daily movement. Movement increases blood flow and makes arteries more flexible. You don't need to exercise at the gym, which is still good. If you're doing the gym, continue that. But we're talking about the whole theme are small changes, small habits. It doesn't need to be exercise at the gym. It could be a 10-minute walk after meals. It can be stretching and seated marching or chair exercises. These are all better than not doing anything. For dementia, for someone living with dementia, walk familiar routes. You use music to cue movement and keep activities short and predictable. Consistency matters more than the intensity. So stay in the course, doing this every day if possible, building the habit, that is more important than the intensity. Habit four, improve sleep and reduce evening stimulation. Poor sleep raises stress hormones, which raises blood pressure. Simple sleep support habits: limit screens before bed, dim lights in the evening, avoid late night heavy meals. A good rule of thumb is to get your last bite 3 hours before going to bed. That's the optimal. If you can only do 2 hours, that's better than eating right before and going to bed. But a good mark for that I heard that I try to follow is 3 hours, and then walking after as well. And there are other great videos. I'm not sure if I've done sleep yet, but there are some great videos on having this nighttime ritual so your body is ready, in a ready state for sleep, some really restful sleep. For caregivers, use a calming bedtime routine, reduce confusion by keeping the same bedtime each night, and reduce night lights, or sorry, use night lights to prevent wandering or falls. And there's some great um, night lights, auto night lights, that are on Amazon that you can check out for those bathroom trips and we're getting water, etc. Number five, let's see, stress is okay. Sorry, number five, habit five, practice micro stress breaks. Stress equals temporary blood pressure spikes. Small, frequent relaxation breaks can lower overall blood pressure. So here's some ideas. 4-7-8 breathing. What do we mean by that? Inhale for 4 seconds, hold for 7, exhale for 8. All right, so inhale for 4 seconds, hold for 7, exhale for 8. Next, looking out a window for 60 seconds, putting your hand on your heart, hand on heart breathing, and just focusing on your heartbeat, listening to calming and familiar music. And for dementia, keep calm cues consistent. Same music, same chair, same lighting, etc. And avoid overwhelming environments. And that could be light, noise, visuals, and things like that. So I hope that these 5 habits that we went over are helpful. I hope that you found them helpful and interesting. I hope that you're going to put them in to practice. Remember, consistency is more important than the intensity of all of these things. So just be mindful, be like set a plan, set aside time to put these into action, and then evaluate at the end of the week how you did. Or you can even do by the day. How did you do? And um, look for consistency in that way. So I wish you luck. I wish you well, rather, with developing these small habits to lower your blood pressure. And if you do these things, let me know. If you have trouble with some of these things, let me know as well. And remember, we have our caregiver support group. You can always bring your questions to that. We can talk about these habits as well. So thanks for being here. Thanks for sticking around to the end and watching this. And I'll see you next time on video.